but that's enough. It's basically this on everything, but we're all saying the same thing. Satan is demeaning God's people,
Come.
right? And our men are tolerating it for 30 pieces of silver. Okay, let's go.
The book of Maccabees, chapter 4, verse 12. The book, Second Maccabees, chapter 4, verse 12. And it reads, "For he built gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself, and brought the chief young men under his subjection, and made them wear a hat."
Stop. See that? No, this is a helmet. This is sports. So he did it gladly. Satan was happy in this. This is his master plan for generations and generations to come. You're looking at the ultimate of it, right? I mean, the fulfillment right now. Seriously, this was the plan of football and all that stuff right now. This is what Satan saw. What we're going through right now. Read that part again.
For he built gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself, and brought the chief young men under his subjection.
The strongest young men. Well trained, strong.
Physically gifted.
Physically gifted.
Yeah.
All right? Let's get it.
And made them wear a hat.
They wear a helmet. Okay, let's go.
Now such was the height of Greek fashions.
Now such was the height of Greek fashion. And now it's a sight. You got some athletes in that thing now. It ain't boring no more. Okay, let's go.
An increase of heathenish manners through the exceeding profaneness of Jason, that ungodly wretch, and no high priest.
See there? So most I see him. Go ahead.
Verse 14, that the priest had no courage to serve any more at the altar, but despising the temple and neglecting the sacrifices, hastened to be partakers of the unlawful allowance in the place of exercise, after the game of discus called them forth, not setting by the honors of their fathers, but liking the glory of the Grecians best of all.
Read that again.
Not setting by the honors of their fathers.
So they're not standing up for the Most High anymore. Right? They're enticed. They don't preach to him anymore. They're deceivers. Right? Go ahead.
But liking the glory of Grecians best of all.
And that's what we see going on again today. That's what the Most High said, hey, it'd be hard for a rich man to enter into the kingdom. Because they liken the glory of the Grecians. They like that. Okay? They trying to hear about what the Most High is saying, because to them, they've been deceived to believe the Most High has blessed them with the glory of the Grecians. Okay? Same people, y'all. That's ruling today. Let's go.
Verse 16. By reason whereof sore calamity came upon them.
By what?
By reason whereof sore calamity came upon them. For they had them to be their enemies and avengers, whose customs they follow so earnestly, and unto whom they desire to be like in all things.
Hey, the Most High telling the truth, y'all.
Come on.
Okay? This is why they tell us our high holy days are done away with. No one but a couple people in our community that know who they are has read this story. What if we read this story? See how that makes sense? It's the origin. They say if you don't know where you come from, how you know where you're going? Let's go.
For verse 17. For it is not a light thing to do wickedly against the laws of God.
Uh-oh. I thought that was grace.
Grace.
Hmm.
I thought that was grace.
Got it.
That grace meant that we can be out here sinning because God forgive us. God love the sinner but hate the sin. It's not a what?
It is not a light thing to do wickedly against the laws of God.
Now, the Most High always give you the bad first, then come with the good.
Mhm.
We can read about these weak brothers, right? Who was leaders. They sold out their people for money, for fame from the Gentiles. We'll get to the strong in a minute. But let's go.
But the time following shall declare these things. Now, when the game that was used every 5th year was kept at Tyrus,
What is it, every 4 years now? Okay, let's go.
the king being present, this ungracious Jason sent special messengers from Jerusalem, who were Antiochians, to carry 300
Done.
drums of silver to the sacrifice of Hercules.
Of who?
Of Hercules.
Higher.
Hercules.
See there? You got to switch up gods to get fame.
Mm.
So they went from sacrificing to the Most High to Hercules.
Wow.
And y'all thought he was just a Greek myth or something. Nah.
Good story they made.
Yeah, good story they made. Cartoon.
Mm.
No, he's a fallen angel. Okay, let's go.
Which even the bearers thereof through fit not to bestow upon the sacrifice, because it was not convenient, but to be reserved for other charges. This money then, in regard of the sender, was appointed to Hercules' sacrifice. But because of the bearers thereof, it was employed to the making of galleys.
Okay, let's go to 1 Maccabees chapter 1, verse 16.
Just to add real quick, that's deep, and it's just kind of confirmation on why, especially those of us who know who we are, should not, put our kids in that and have them do that, especially on the Sabbath. It's
Hey, look here, I'm going to say it again. I was an athlete.
right.
I worked hard to have my son so he could be an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
My son will not play sports.
Con.
Mm-hmm. So,
First
and we see why.
Con.
Okay?
The next precept is
Yes.
I said, but the greater thing about it is it's our duty to teach our people this. Our people don't know.
No, he
Right.
not.
And they're not just in sports because this is what they thought was right. So it's
Come.
our job to go out and start letting these people know what's
Exactly.
going on since our eyes are open.
con.
Right?
We gotta start planting seeds. Because if they knew, they would be like us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If the Most High's will, they would do better.
Con.
And it's great that you brought that out because I was watching one of our videos from like a year or two ago, and I made a comment. I said, a lot of people have been trying to get me to coach their children. Most I built my spirit. No, I can't teach them to be like this. I gotta teach them to be like Christ. I'd be blood guilty if I give advice to this. I seen my cousin who was a pastor at a park about a summer ago. He had his son there, he's in sports and stuff. I said, cuz, I can't give nobody some football. I can tell them about this Bible though. That's all I can do. I mean, that's not it. That's deceiving this child. This child will put more energy in trying to be what he see on TV than his Lord and Savior.
Mm-hmm.
So, am I not blood guilty for guiding him the wrong way? So how can I let my own son do this if I'm teaching people not to do so?
Right.
So that's a great point. And this is what the truth is all about,
Con.
right? To go inform our brothers and our sisters. We've been set up,
Con.
right? Remember, it says the leaders have caused Israel to err. We just read about some. The Most High was weak. Weak brothers who appear to be strong, yes. Speak up, man.
I was just thinking about that, young lady asked me about you training her son to play, going to college, and getting some scholarships and everything. I say, best thing I can tell you to do is tell him to get the Bible and for him to get an academic scholarship or something. I think, he's not gonna do that.
So, my praise the high
We
view.
teach our kids, that's the best way, that's the way out. Get a scholarship, or, go play football or basketball, won't be like Mike, ain't no more Mikes.
It's only Yasha. Yeah. It's only Yasha. He's the truth, the way, and the life. Yes, sister.
And never in my life been told, nor have I ever heard a parent tell your child follow Christ.
We just say that in a Saturday class.
Come.
I've never ever personally had my mom tell me, "You have to say."
And guess what? You know a lot of Christians who don't. And like one of them Christians told their children to be like Christ. And like sister, how we brought it in the last Sabbath class. Not only that, none of the parents know how to teach them how to be like Christ. And as the sister just brought up, that's our duty. We have to be a light. The Most High has awakened us, given us His knowledge. We have to be a light and show our people how to be like Christ. Right? Be living examples today. Okay, let's keep going.
The book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 16. And it reads, Now when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt, that he might have the dominion of 2 realms. Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude.
Check it out, y'all. Look at Satan's plan in a minute. For those who here in Monday's class, we had a map of Africa up there. And we were showing how much of Africa is the land of Israel. Right? Most of Egypt, all the southern coast of Africa is the land of Israel. So Satan now is trying to take over God's land. Right? Many people don't understand that. Because remember, Canaan took Shem's land. And this is all part of Shem's land, the land of Canaan. So all of most of Egypt, South Africa, and the West, all that's our land. So let's go. Because like the Canaanites, northern, it was in Ham's land was northern Africa. Southern Africa belonged to us. So let's go.
Verse 17. Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen, and a great navy, and made war against Ptolemy.
And now Ptolemy, right, is the reason why you can look at Egypt right now and saw these white people and light-skinned people, because he was part of the fort that was spread at the Alexander. So he went there to Egypt, took over Egypt, right, and started to replace their faces with their faces, to turn down their statues and put these white folks up there. So nowadays you watch a movie, you see white people, okay? But that's how that started, because before the Egyptians did look like to our day. Okay, well, let's go.
And made war against Ptolemy, king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled, and many were wounded to death. Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof. And after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 143rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude.
The whole mission is Israel, trying to conquer all our land like they're doing right now. Take over God's land and God's people. That's Satan's mission. Go ahead, destroy them.
And entered proudly into the sanctuary.
What's the sanctuary, y'all? It's a place of safety, right? It's where the Most High used to dwell. He was our sanctuary. He was our shield, our refuge. So now Satan is walking in proudly as we're taking over Israel's sanctuary. Okay? This is a mission. Remember, we read a couple weeks ago, Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, of the serpent, and the serpent's seed, and the woman and her seed. This is the war. This is part of the war. It's a perpetual war until our Savior come and bruise him in the head. So let's go.
And entered proudly into the sanctuary, and took away the golden altar and the candlestick of light.
Check it out. I don't have time. I would love to break all these things down to y'all, but I'm just going to sum it up, okay? The candlelight, right? What it represents. I'm just going to break it down about 2 or 3 of them. The candlestick, candlelight, what does it represent? Mm-mm. Come on. Go ahead, Jake.
Some folks say, what they're supposed to do.
Answer? What'd you say?
The candlestick, I think,
Is what it represents.
The Spirit of God. It never should burn out. That Spirit always should be on fire. The Most High is in your midst. Okay? And this is summing them all up. All these physical things of the law that was required to go into the temples, into the temple, the Most High called his goodly things, really represent us. Okay? So let's just sum it up like that, but it represents us, his Spirit. So now Satan is coming to destroy the temple, the people, the physical place. Okay? Let's go.
And took away the golden altar and the candlestick of light and all the vessels thereof, and the table of the showbread, and the pouring vessels, and the vials, and the censers of gold, and the veil, and the crowns.
Now the showbread, right? Christ. He's the bread from heaven. Okay? He's the one that taught the priests. Okay? He fed the priests. Okay? Let's go.
And the veil, and the crowns, and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which he pulled off.
Now, seriously, if this is not strictly a spiritual thing, why are these people destroying our places of worship? Why? Why are they destroying our places of worship? And you're going to see they make it, but make it law that we cannot follow our God, we must follow their God. If this is not a spiritual thing, yes.
Oh, you basically answered, they're destroying our place of worship, so we won't have no choice but to worship their gods.
That's never the case.
Well, they
We always have a choice.
do have a choice.
Okay? But
Destroying our will and like our fight against it.
well,
Just to go off of what Sister was saying, the kids, if they destroy that, the kids will never see ours, and then they just see theirs, and then that
Excellent.
generation.
my brother, he said that the kids would not have a place of worship to remember anymore. They will only know what they saw by those weak, ungodly men who are so-called priests, right? Spiritual battle. Remember, our warfare is not physical, right? If all they wanted was come in and take over the land and people, they could have did that. They came destroying our sanctuary, right? Trying to cut off the connection between this people and their God. Okay? Yes.
Brother, I noticed, I never told you this, but I noticed real when I came in here. You remember when I was struggling when I first came in? So I used to talk to pastors. This is what I used to do. I used to talk to pastors.
Sister, we good?
So I think she bring up her kids.
Oh, you want to come here?
Yeah, them her grandkids. I saw Indian Ivy.
Yeah, outside? Tell. Right there?
They probably don't know what to do with
George
them.
goes.
Yeah.
All at one time, God. All the time with God, man. How y'all
No
doing?
ladies.
Hello?
Hello.
She got food.
Anything on that?
Mhm.
Let's go.
Yeah, and I knew that they were fake because I would ask them to talk to you, and they never would want to talk to you about anything, you know? Like, you know, they asked me questions, I couldn't tell them. And I'd be like, well, I can call my teacher. They never wanted to talk to you though. You know, if you got this much knowledge, you know, I would talk. I would say what I have to say. You know, that detoured me. Like, why would they talk to him?
Yeah.
Man, pray on you.
Yeah. But the moral of the story is the war, right? It's the battle of the gods, right? So what we're seeing right now is Satan's attack on God's people in their sanctuary. Yes.
I was thinking about, like, right now, you look at, I mean, when I was young, we couldn't even see people in the same bed, or like, you couldn't see no more than top of the head. But nowadays, you look at TV, you see all this homosexuality, and it's just like, everything is like it's right. You know, they're making it seem like it's okay to do this, and our young people looking at this. We wasn't able to see all that stuff when we were young. I mean, it went on, but we didn't, it wasn't out front like it is now. I mean, everything wide open now. This young kid, the other day, my grandson was playing on his little tablet, and some X-ray and stuff popped up in the corner. You know, he had enough to say, "Mommy, the boys ain't supposed to do this shit."
Wow.
How can you explain to a 5-year-old kids, you know, having sex? It's sad.
The war,
It's the war. That's
yeah,
what I said, it's the war.
the spiritual war
It's sad.
is on. Okay?
Like her mom said, it's attacking. Well, it's showing them those images, and that's all they see. That's why
That's all you get to
See, look,
it's sad.
this thing right. We're reading the Bible about our homeland in the glory of Zion. We never saw it. We grew up in these churches, these Roman Babylonian churches. We never saw the glory, never heard the glory because of what you brought up. Huh? So through generations, we'll forget our God, right? And we will only know the gods of the land that we live on and their customs. That's why everybody will argue about Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter. Our families here. You know, not even understanding that it's satanic. But so no, this is a time to meet with the family and you know and with our friends. It's deeper than that. Yes, sister.
I was going to say too, even if we do try to look for something that other than what we were taught here, they still confuse us about where we came from and the guys that we serve, where we came from over in Africa. So they lie to us even about that. So even if we go looking for the truth, they still blind us
Yes.
with those.
That's what Most High say. He that diligently seek Him. Because you can't just go one place and you gotta understand. That's why I really admire you, because you ain't like that. You know what I'm saying? People are so lazy now that I'm serious that they don't want to read nothing. They don't want to dig and search for the truth because they don't understand that. They don't even understand that there's a judgment coming up on this earth. They don't understand it. But let's get to this. We got a lot of reading to do, sis. Okay, let's go.
The book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 23. He took also the silver and the gold and the precious vessels, and also he took the hidden treasures which he found. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre, and spoke very proudly.
Is that not Satan? You understand? The precious vessels are his people. Those vessels represented God's people. He went to his own land and was proud because the Most High had a controversy with Satan. Right? Satan said that his people don't love him. That his people only serve him because he put their heads over them. You take those things away from him and they will curse you to your face. He made a great massacre. Understand, this is a spiritual war. Let's go.
Verse 25. Therefore there was was great mourning in Israel, in every place where they were, so that the princes and elders mourned, the virgins and young men were made feeble.
Scared, weak. Okay? They'd seen the slaughter of their loved ones, men that looked up to. Now they're weak and they're scared it can happen to them because they have no trust or knowledge of their God. But this ain't everybody though, y'all. We'll get to the strong in a minute. Let's go.
And the beauty of women was changed. Every bridegroom took up lamentation, and she that sat in the marriage chamber was in heaviness. The land also was moved for the inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob was covered with confusion. And after 2 years fully expired, the king sent his chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came unto Jerusalem with a great multitude. Shalom, family. Verse 30. And spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit.
See that? They spoke peaceful words unto the people, but all the words were deceit. Right now, our government speak peaceful words into the people, but they all are of deceit. Let's go.
For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city, and smote it very sore, and destroyed much people in Israel.
The Bible says when they should speak peace, sudden destruction. Right, brothers and sisters? Get it? That's why with the lesson last week we was teaching that you cannot trust these people. Yes.
Just like they did Native Americans.
Yeah. We did. It's a Thanksgiving.
It was all nonsense.
Say the words are smoother than butter.
Yep.
Right? Words are smoother than butter. Destruction. Okay. Yeah. Let's go.
Verse 31. And when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire, and pulled down the houses and walls thereof on every side. But the women and children took they captive, and possessed the cattle. Then builded they the city of David with a great and strong wall, and with mighty towers, and made it a stronghold for them.
So, now they build up the city of David. Remember, anyone that controls Zion, the city of David in Jerusalem, rules the world through history. Okay? That's why the Jewish people are out there right now ruling the world. That land is unique. Okay? Rulership comes out of that land. They know that. That's why all through history, people have been fighting to get over there and conquer it and rule the world. Satan wants to sit in the most high seat. Okay? Let's go.
First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 34. And they put therein a sinful nation.
Who?
A sinful nation.
So, see, it ain't God's people. They replaced, remember they took us captive and put the sinful nation there. Right? Let's go.
Wicked men, and fortified themselves therein. They stored it also with armor and victuals. And when they had gathered together the spoils of Jerusalem, they laid them up there, and so they became a sore snare. For it was a place to lie in wait against the sanctuary, and evil adversary to Israel. Thus they shed innocent blood on every side of the sanctuary, and defiled it, insomuch that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them. Whereupon the city was made an habitation of strangers, and became strange to those that were born in her, and her own children left her.
And check it out. This is prophecy, y'all. The Most High said, if we don't follow His laws, Jerusalem will lay desolate. Is she not right now? The reason that they have done these things, the Most High was no longer fighting for them. Right? Because the men were weak and compromised and taught our children to do the same. as we talked about earlier, through the sports system, through entertainment, they train our children from youth to desire the royal privileges of the Grecians. We're almost done with this part. I'm waiting to get to the strong man, for real, because the Most High has always had a remnant that fought and stood up for him and his people. Okay? But what we're witnessing right now, reading right now, is prophecy been fulfilled for disobedience. So this ain't the first time we've been without protection. Okay? Let's go. From our God.
Verse 39, her sanctuary was laid waste like a wilderness. Her feasts were turned into mournings, her Sabbaths into reproach, her honor into contempt. As had been her glory, so was her dishonor increased, and her excellency was turned into mourning. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
See there? All should be one people. Prior to this kingdom, right, like we said last Sabbath, the nations worship their own gods. The Grecians started this mess, right? They want to turn everybody over to Satan. Yes. One more, yeah. Yeah. They made a law. Okay? Go ahead.
Verse 42, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yet many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath.
Read that part again.
Yet many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols.
So what's going to happen when this chip is mandated?
Many of them going to consent.
Many of them are going to consent and sacrifice to idols. Right? Because of the leaders. Once again, they're going to use the leaders to implement this system. The entertainers, the same way they did in the last page. Okay, let's go.
And profaned the Sabbath. Verse 44. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land.
Read that part again, please.
Salakia, I actually went too far, but
Where you at?
again. 44, which was the 43.
All right, let's start at 43. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 20. Because it says in 43, right? Yeah, it says, yeah, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. Okay?
The next precept is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 10, and verse 20.
Now, so when I say that it's deeper than this a holiday, right? These customs are what? Let the scripture speak. Let's get it.
The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 10, verse 20. But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils.
So,
to devils.
So the Israelites no longer sacrifice to the Most High, but to devils. So when they was doing the Grecian holidays, they were sacrificing to devils. When they was training their children to be athletes, they was giving their children over to the fire, to devils.
And not to God. And I would not that ye should have fellowship with the devils. 21. Ye cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils. Ye cannot be partakers of the highest table and of the table of devils. Do we provoke Ahiah to jealousy? Are we stronger than he?
Are we stronger than he? We can do our own thing and overcome the Most High. Now you see where our people are suffering during this period right here. There was no truth in the land. Get it? We're suffering right now. There's no truth in the land. No one standing up for the Most High. But he has a remnant right now that's doing the work. Right? Who's similar, very similar to these brothers we're about to read about. Let's go.
The next precept will be back in 1 Maccabees chapter 1, verses 44 through 64.
So remember how this all started, right? Our leaders sold us to Satan, right? For the glory of the Gentiles. They agreed, made a contract with them to teach the youth these ungodly customs, right? Go ahead.
1 Maccabees chapter 1, verse 44. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land.
Now, if it's not a spiritual war, why is this so? Like, if you rule an empire, other people serve who they want to serve. If it's not about the gods.
Right.
He made a law that everyone must follow the laws of Satan and not their God. Okay? Let's go.
Verse 45. And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days.
They did such a marvelous job in this, y'all. Today, our people say, what about the Sabbath?
A lot of them don't know.
They don't know.
It's any day, it's Sunday.
They say you can do it any day.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing somebody say to you.
Yeah. Let's go.
Verse 46. And pollute the sanctuary and holy people. Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols.
Uh-oh. You got churches on every corner now. You get it? This is where it started. Set up what?
Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh
Uh-oh.
and unclean beasts.
Do what?
Sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts.
Wow. Rat. Squirrel. Girl.
Coon,
Cool.
possums, catfish, lobster, oh yeah.
Hold on. The brother has his hand up.
I never used to understand why, when I was in the Christian church, why the pastor used to like literally promote pig. Like he used to call it the Most High's delicacy.
We just read it.
I know, that's what I think. That right there just made sense. Like I just had a glimpse of him in my head. Like he used to, in like almost all of his sermons, he would say something about that pig.
Oh man, wow.
Man, I was like, that bacon, ooh, that bacon.
It's terrible.
It's an intentional thing.
Yeah. That's why I said, man, that's why we got to read all 4 of these chapters, because it's going to, like I said, it's going to show us how we got here. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to see it's the same agenda. It's the same laws passed down from one man to the next man by Satan. Okay, let's go.
Verse 48, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manners of uncleanliness and profanation, to the end they might forget the law.
They might or they have.
They have. And change all the ordinances. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said, he should die.
So, if our children are seeing men dying for standing up for the Most High, is that not putting fear in them? So mothers would teach their children to compromise because they don't want to see their sons get murdered. Generation after generation after generation, and now we're here. Okay? Let's go.
Verse 51, in the selfsame manner wrote he to his whole kingdom, and appointed overseers over all the people.
There your police go. I ain't put the police out on you now. That's what the police really are. Overseers.
Con.
I ain't put the police on you now, so you ain't doing what the king say, you get arrested and killed. Okay, let's go.
Commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice, city by city.
Commanding Israel to sin city by city. This is the only way they can stay in authority, stay in dominion, have power over us. This is a spiritual warfare. I'm telling you.
Verse 52. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law, and so they committed evils in the land, and drove the Israelites into secret places, even wheresoever they could not flee. Even wheresoever they could flee for succor.
Do y'all know what succor means? Hey, safety. Thank you, brother. So there were some who fled, who did not want to compromise. Okay? Go ahead.
Now, the 15th day of the month, Caslu, in the 140th and 5th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar, and builded idol altars throughout the city of Judah on every side, and burnt incense at the door of their houses and in the streets. And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law, which they found, they burnt them with fire.
Y'all see that? They're not burning no other book up but this book. See how powerful this book is? This is the only book that's alive with spirit. You cannot let them Israelites know their God. You can't. So it just goes to show me that the Gentiles believe in the Most High. Yes.
That also happened when we came over here, slave ships. They beat us and whipped us and got rid of our God.
Yeah. Exactly. So today they did such a marvelous job, right? They ain't gotta burn the book anymore. Our people don't want to read it. White man wrote the book. If he wrote it, why is he burning his own book? This is the same white man. Why? So.
Verse 57. And wheresoever was found with any the book of the testament, or if any consented to the law, the king's commandment was that they should put him to death.
See that? This is a strategic plan to keep dominion of the world. Satan keeping his people on top. For real. This is why he took these books out of the Bible. Again, imagine if our people read this. Imagine. This has been read in churches. I tell y'all, if you only read the Apocrypha, no one can tell you can eat pork.
Right.
Tomorrow we're going to read chapter 7. Okay? But let's go.
Verse 58.
No one can tell you that the law is done away with. Just reading the Apocrypha.
Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the cities.
To make examples publicly, to put fear in generations. Same way that the sister brought up about we came over in slave ship, they whipped us. That was to put fear into the generations. So one day we will willfully do these things. Gladly do these things. Celebrate these things. Go ahead.
Verse 59. Now the 25th day of the month they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of the Most High. at which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised. And they hanged the infants about their necks, and rifled their houses, and slew them that had circumcised them.
Now do y'all see why it talks about Edom? For the violence that I have done against thy brother? Yeah. So,
Howbeit, many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing.
there goes some soldiers now. Most High always had a remnant. Remember.
Wherefore they chose rather to die.
They what?
They chose rather to die.
So, the question of today is, will we choose whether to die? Y'all hear me talk about it all the time. Get ready to die for this. We have such a great cloud of witnesses, y'all, that died for this. Horrifically. Okay? So, can you choose to die for this? See how serious this is? This is all for eating pork.
Right.
This is all for not celebrating Christmas. Our brothers and sisters said we'd rather die than celebrate your Christmas. Serious, y'all. But many of us folded for fear of death. That's why they was hanging babies and stuff. You think people don't love them children? The mothers weren't crying?
No, they weren't.
But understand. I told y'all a while ago, and I prayed the Most High give me strength to fulfill my words. I said, my son would not be the cause of me going to hell. If my son is one of these, so be it. I'll see him again. If I'm one of these, I pray that I see y'all again. Because I am not going out like that. My mind is made up, y'all. I'm dead and ready to meet. I'm a dead man walking. People get tired of me saying that, but I'm telling you the truth. Would not compromise this for nothing. Build confidence in these brothers and sisters about to read about. Because I'm trying to see them again. Trying to see them. I'm trying to be one of those ones that I see Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Yasha. My Heavenly Father, highest shore, highest space. Get ready to die for this, y'all. This ain't no Christian thing. This ain't no blind faith thing. You got to believe. My beloved brother, my Jonathan, up in the face say all the time, bro, it ain't about believing, it's about knowing. I know what I know. Do you? This world is an illusion, y'all, I'm telling you. We watched a video. We watched a video a couple days ago, what it was. It's showing you this whole thing is a slave plantation. The Most High had to show that video for a reason. This is a corporation. Let's use that for example. Right? This whole world is a corporation. Okay? Our people are trying to hold on to and get the most of a company they can never own. They believe that they're going to be comfortable in someone else's office. Right now, if you had an office, you got workers, could I come to your office and set up 10? Set my 10 up and say, I worked hard for this? Can I do that? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Basically, come in and just take what you want.
Basically, what I'm trying to say, you own the office, building, the land. Because you pay me a nice salary, can I pitch my tent and say, look what I accomplished?
No, it's mine.
It's yours. So let's look at the bigger picture. America, it's a corporation, it's a big office. Sold. Okay? How can I pitch my tent and feel like I accomplished something when truthfully, according to the law, even if I bought land, I can't own the land. The British royalty and the Rothschilds own it. So I'm saying this for a reason, right? It's an illusion. Success cannot happen physically for Israel. The Most High brought us here for one thing, to serve our enemies.
God.
That's what we came here for. To serve our enemies. Until we recognize or lay it to heart. We have to lay it to heart while we in servitude and come back to our Father and be ready to die for Him. Yes, sister.
It's like where I live, bought a house, bought the land, and can't even take down the flag.
You don't own it.
Wow.
No, it's a flag in the backyard.
Can't take it down. It's part of the subdivision.
So, let's get it.
The book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 63. Wherefore they chose rather to die, that they may not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died. And there was very great wrath upon Israel.
Pause that for a minute. Thank you, Sister Lois. Let me see.